I really do have to take a look around. It's quite amazing. I have to speak in the mic. It's like a drone hanging in front of my mouth. Okay. Yeah, it's quite something. Can you hear now? To just look out and see just such a full Zendo. And also want to, thank all the people who are online. I can't see you, don't have the normal Zoom screen, but I so appreciate you being here and tuning in to this live stream from Wisdom House in Litchfield, Connecticut. So yesterday, Fusho Sensei encouraged gathering in her talk. She gathered us and welcomed us as we embarked on our first day of Dai Sesshin. She encouraged us to give our all to heartfelt practice. She made a sign. Tapping her forehead to move from our heads into our heart. In every moment, a deepening move into our bodies, not knowing and allowing new and fresh to come forward. And she spoke for all of us, expressing her heartfelt gratitude for Roshi Ankyo and our abbot, Shinryu Roshi, and for everyone who is involved, all of you here, and everyone who is involved in making this Sesshin happen. You know, as we always say here, at least a few times a year, it takes a village. You know, it really does. There are so many people who have made this happen, who aren't, we don't see them here today, but they were very involved. I'm hoping that these yellow paper doesn't fly off. Okay. So I've been doing a lot of reminiscing these past weeks in this period of transition that we're in now. I remember coming to the Village Zendo for the first time, and my early on first couple of years to 588 Broadway, and then to retreats at the Grail Wisdom House. And I'm so grateful for the thread of a lifetime that brought me to Roshi Ankyo, and now here with you all together. So Roshi Ankyo begins her talks on the Heart Sutra in the prologue with a stunning poem, and I hope I pronounce Theodor Retzka. I hope that's how you pronounce it, titled Journey to the Interior. She mentions that the beginning stanza reminds her of what we are doing, what we're doing here today and every day, zazen, and how difficult it can be. And so I'm just going to read the first few lines. In the long journey out of the self, there are many detours, washed out, interrupted, raw places where the shale slides dangerously. Journey to the interior becomes the long journey out of the self in the first line. I remember early on in my Zen practice at Village Zendo, a zazen kai in which after a few periods, grief just welled up in me, and it was so unexpected, out of nowhere, and it was also grief that I absolutely didn't know was there. So for a period, a whole period, I sobbed, tears streaming down my face. My nose was running. It was really not a nice sight. My sobbing was audible. There was no hiding. Everyone in the Zendo sat silently, continuing to sit. I felt so held and safe. And I felt in my heart that the Village Zendo was a place that could hold my grief. I had faith that I was in the right place. To study Zen is to study the self. And there it can be very, very difficult. Over time of years and practice, the heavy load that I carried has lightened. Stuff still obviously comes up all the time, but it's I feel like a different person now. Being with the difficult emotions and thoughts, whatever was coming up, being with was the medicine prescribed. Not getting entangled in thoughts and emotions. When they arise, Miyoko Roshi spoke so clearly in her precepts talk about practicing with difficult emotions. Anger, shame, to name a few. She encouraged us to see what arises clearly, to experience those feelings, to be with them, and to hold what comes up. To not lie about what's happening, push them away, bypass, but to bring awareness and honesty, investigating, holding. Our holding helps to loosen the ego's grip. And I think our view expands, and I think our heart opens wider. To study the self is to forget the self. So I came into the Village Zendo pretty much at the same time that I was entering Buddhist chaplaincy training, which actually I know I've talked about before, but it was held at 588 Broadway. And one of the first things I remember was hearing about 360-degree awareness. And that was how we were to practice. So we were instructed to expand our senses in all directions. And I remember thinking that it was like pretty like, how am I going to expand my awareness like behind me, where I can't see? But, we worked on it. You listen, you try to just really feel, feel all around the whole space. So the inner awareness in the body. The question for each of us chaplains was, what are you experiencing? What are you feeling in the moment? And at the same time, so it's like an inner-outer thing. You go into a patient's room. What do you see? What do you hear? What can you learn from what you're seeing about the person that you are meeting? So inner, outer at the same time. One, not two. And I know we're not really supposed to say one either. The minute you start labeling, you're off in some, I don't know, maybe you're off a bit. I listened to a talk recently by Norman Fisher, Roshi, and he said a couple things that I wrote down. Everything is relationship. We are our relationships. Relationships are the crucible for healing. There is no firm ground on which to stand. Relationships are the path. And of course, differences we're all different, and we're all unique, we're all different. And it's really the differences, at least I find most of the time, that really usually drive me crazy about a person. And it can be in our families, our work, wherever we are. And the wonderful thing is that when we're in the Zendo and we're doing what we do this week and we have the opportunity, to be on a team, to have responsibility, and engage with people and make, whatever activity is we're doing, to work together and to make it work well. It's not always easy. There's certainly been times, during Sesshin where somebody was just, I thought, this person, I can't believe, that they are behaving this way, or they're instructing us this way, or they're, and so relationships are the path. And when difficult emotions arise, we are aware of that, and we can actually kind of settle down and understand what is difficult for us, and maybe ask a skillful question, or express what we need. And we can also look at that person and recognize, that they might be feeling just the same way that we are, that we might be driving them crazy. And, that we're in this together, and that we can, wonder what that other person needs. We can, if it seems appropriate, we can actually maybe talk and say, hey, what do you think would help here? Or what would be good here? Or, can you clarify something? I think that in our community, there's so much opportunity to work on relationships and how we express ourselves and interact, and to realize that we're all in this together. And so as opposed to separating, maybe a habit of separating, from our experience practicing, we can meet somebody and actually become our good friends, open our hearts to each other. And if we can do it here, we can do it in our families and wherever we go. So I really treasure connection and feeling fully human. And that was something that I've also thought a lot about from this, the way we get to know ourselves and to become intimate with other people. It sort of opens us up to be having the opportunity to really feel what people are going through. When you know what you're going through, the difficulties, the pain, the joy, whatever it is, but it allows us to really enter being human fully and to really being with one another in an intimate way. I did sort of up in my room a little last minute kind of scribbling, so hopefully, let me just see where I am. So years ago, I read the Gospel of Thomas, which is in the Gnostic Gospels. And I've brought this up a long time ago in a number of, in a few talks that I gave, because the following quote I just think is so, says so much about our practice. It goes like this: what you bring forth will set you free. What you don't bring forth will destroy you. And I think it's so easy, to be, when we feel, I know for me, to feel afraid and anxious, I just tighten up and kind of do the same thing over and over again. And Fusho, I think in her talk, talked about having the courage to come forth, in new ways and be creative, and to step out of kind of a place of not knowing. So recently, I wanted to share this experience with you. I have been volunteering assigned patients at hospice. And there's a woman that I have been visiting a number of times who is in a residential facility. And she's become a very good friend. And our friendship is really the relationship I think that she deeply wanted with somebody. And so we meet and we just kind of go off to the races, talking and enjoying really being kind of deeply honest and intimate. She's a retired hospice chaplain. She did that for many, many years. She's a smart woman, and I am sure she was, and she's very kind of dedicated to whatever she does. She told me that she was an expert in hospice. She was an expert in all of the, scientific understanding of what people were going through physically and taking care of them medically. But she is now in hospice, and she has post-polio. And that is a really, really rough place to be, because there's just a complete tremendous amount of pain and just really a lot of deterioration that's happening, you know, in her body. She really can't you know, walk now. So when she was telling me about being an expert, she said, you know, I've never been in this position before. It is completely new. It's like, I don't know. I don't know from moment to moment, you know, what's going on and how I'm going to do it and how I'm going to go through this. She said, I'm not an expert anymore. And that is my challenge. And that is really like almost her highest priority right now, is just to be intimate.
I think your mic went out. Let's try to swap this one.
Oh, okay.
We lost just a little bit of that
Okay.
story. You try?
So can you hear me? Yeah. So at any rate, just the main thing is that she was an expert all of her life, and she was kind of tough and direct, and she really didn't know how to lighten up or to engage with other people. And so her top priority now in this whole realm she is in, where she just doesn't know what's happening from moment to moment, is to be open and to meet not be an expert. And I listened to her talking about that, and I just like thought, wow, this woman is my teacher. I am so lucky to be able to spend time with her and be on this journey with her. You know, what courage. You know, she had had an experience where she went to somebody she worked with years ago, and somebody she respected and who was kind of a person that had a lot of friends, and she said, do you like me? And the person said, no. And I think this whole period in her life is about just turning everything over. And so, you know, we meet and we we go outside in our electric wheelchair, and we talk under this tree, and we look at the birds and the leaves and the trees, and just talk so honestly about, you know, just share honestly, and it's beautiful, and I find her very inspiring. Okay, I have a feeling that my time is probably up. Okay, let's see. Okay, so I will end with this. Birds singing in the trees, flying to and fro, crows calling. How wonderful. Looking out the tea room window. Wind blows the tall green shoots. Blossoms ripple out in waves, everything moving. To forget the self is to be actualized by the myriad things. Joy of being human, appreciating life, this life, in the best of times and the worst of times, nothing to attain, nothing to get, And so let's put one foot in front of the other, step by step, the ground beneath our feet, and so we try to help and serve.